All right, Matt, we have another former organizational champion making their promotional debut in Roman Bogatov taking on Leonardo Santos. And Matt, I would say this about Bogatov. This is a tough fight for anybody. But I could say that on the flip side about Leonardo Santos. And Matt, let me go on a little bit of a journey through Leonardo Santos' career because maybe you're not familiar with him. He is 40 years old, after all. He's had 21 professional fights. His pro debut was way back in 2002 against none other than the Fireball Kid, Takanori Gomi, when Gomi was at the height of his powers with Shuto, and he was already 10-0. He was one of the hottest lightweights of all time at the time. Leonardo Santos, so his career continues to go along. He rolls into The Ultimate Fighter Season 2 Brazil, and then just decides to win it at welterweight. And he beats Thiago Santos,
Light heavyweight champion Thiago Santos.
In the process. So Leonardo Santos, so far in the UFC, 5-0-1, undefeated, the one being the Norman Park draw. And if you look at it, there's wins over Efrain Escudero, Anthony Rocco Martin by submission, Kevin Lee by knockout, Adriano Martins, split decision, but it's hard to have a good fight against Martins. And then in his last fight, long layoff, comes in against Stevie Ray, knocks him out in the first round. Leonardo Santos is the biggest enigma and the weirdest type of fighter so far that we've possibly ever seen in the UFC. Unprecedented run. But on the other side of the cage, Roman Bogatov, former M1 Global lightweight champ, undefeated, 10-0. And his last two fights, really, really telling, especially the one over Mikel Lebu. And the thing with Bogatov, you look at this fighter, he's so good at bringing the pressure, at bringing the fight to the ground. His top control is great. He's really able to just unleash hellish ground and pound. But can you do that against a guy like Leonardo Santos?
And that's a really good question, because when you look at what Roman Bogatov is able to do, he kind of reminds you of Islam Makhachev, just not really as developed, at least yet. He has that Russian wrestling that a lot of those athletes have. It's just his striking's a little bit behind what a lot of those other guys
really
have.
Weird, because Roman Bogatov from Team Newstream, you might recognize that stupid hat and that stupid jersey they wear. But guys like Andrei Koreshkov and Alexander Shlemenko, some of the best strikers that I can think of are the more creative strikers at 70 and 85. You have Bogatov here, 55, balancing everybody out, being such a good wrestler.
Exactly. And I do think that him training with such high-level strikers is going to help him. I mean, the further he progresses into his career, that's only going to do you a lot of good. But like you said with Santos, one of the stranger careers of anyone in the UFC, because when you look at kind of his body of work, he deserves a guy who's ranked, you would assume. Maybe an Alexander Hernandez, kind of a guy who's just outside that top 15, but no, he just keeps on fighting unranked guys, and he keeps on beating the brakes off most of them. I mean, the Stevie Ray fight was going to be an interesting one, because you kind of know what you're going to get with Stevie Ray. He's just good everywhere. As we mentioned it, there's a lot of guys like that. They're just kind of well-rounded. Stevie Ray, good at everything, not really, jack of all trades, master of none, if you will. And Leonardo Santos, who, if I thought he was going to would win by submission, went out there and flatlined him, which was, really impressive. Leonardo Santos he's an older Gilbert Burns at this point in his career. I don't think he's ever going to fight for a championship. I don't think he's going to go on that crazy run that's going to bring him to a title shot. But when you look at his skill set, he has extremely heavy hands in world-class jiu-jitsu. Very similar to a guy who's going to be fighting Kamaru Usman later in the evening, at least. I think everything points to Santos winning this fight. The problem is when you're 40 years old, especially at the lighter weight classes, Father Time's going to come hit you on the shoulder eventually, and we just don't really know at what point in his career that's going to happen.
Yeah, and it's weird, too, because for Roman Bogatov, typically in your sporting career, your MMA career, you're really starting to hit your stride between 29 and 32, and he's right in that peak area, especially an undefeated fighter, coming in with a lot of hype. But the odds maker's slighting him a little bit. You look at it, Leonardo Santos, minus 185 favorite, Roman Bogatov coming in the plus 155 underdog. So let's look at the votes over on Tapology. Out of 846 over there on the site, the overwhelming majority, 78% going with Santos, and votes are split between a win by knockout, a win by submission, or a win by decision. I'm going to agree. I think Leonardo Santos is going to be able to get the win because here's the thing. If Bogatov is able to get the fight to the ground, and if he's able to just ground and pound like he has against some lesser competition, again, the Lebus, the Silvas of the world, yeah, easy path to victory. But Leonardo Santos, having that jiu-jitsu in his back pocket, if he's off of his back, he's going to be active, and you really have to worry about that for Bogatov.
100%. And if Santos was really smart, and if he did kind of want to start going up those rankings, call out Drew Dober. Someone like that. Someone who's in the top 15 who, it's not going to be an easy fight for you, but we've seen him fight good guys in the past. Now, understandably, Kevin Lee was sort of pre-prime.
5 years ago?
Exactly. He was before his prime, and Santos wasn't 40 years old. But start calling out some of those bigger names, because you just going backwards and fighting unranked guys once every 2 years isn't really doing it. Eventually, you do kind of want to start having more consistency to your activity, and you want to move up the rankings at some point. So it would be really nice if he does get this win to actually get sort of a big name opponent.
Matt, really looking forward to this fight. Both
Good
going
fight.
with Leonardo Santos to get the win. You're not going to want to the rest of the predictions for the card. An extended look at the 3 title fights at the top. Keep it locked in with Fight Night Picks, Matt. And as we always say, let's get into it.